Hi, I'm Caroline Dama. I work for Grassroots Economics. I'm here with my colleague. She'll introduce herself. And we're going to help you go through what we do so that we're going to help you wherever you are to be able to set up your own community currency.
Hi, I'm Lydia and I work with Grassroots Economics too. I coordinate the Sarafu activities in Mombasa, and we are happy to give you tips to start your own community currencies.
So we have a rural program in Miyani. It's in Kwale County of the coast part of Kenya. And we have farmers, a farmer group that's based mostly on agricultural produce. And they're able to come together and they have their own individual farms. They also have a community farm. But the beautiful thing about them is that they look for ways to work together so that they are able to place their produce in one place. But most of the time, like most people in rural Kenya, they lack sometimes the liquidity to be able to meet some of their basic needs. So how they're able to address it is in form of cooperative societies. When they come together, they do their own funding, or sometimes they share their food. But we're able to train them on how to work with the community currency. And with the community currency, how it works, they're able to come, work collectively in the farm, and when they work together, they pay it back in community currency. So how does it work? So imagine you're all this huge group of people. You've been able to come. You have a lot of maize that you want to be milled, but you don't have the money to mill the maize. But there are other services and goods that the community has that you can be able to get from them. You come together, you have this maize mill that's community owned. You can go to the maize mill, you can mill your maize, and you can pay in community currency. And then the community currency, once it's pulled together, when you come together and work in the cooperative farm, maybe you want to dig cisterns so that you can collect water because you're having a water problem. Or maybe you want to dig a swell so that you want to stop the soil erosion. You don't want the soil to go into the dam. And then the community shop is able to pay the community members in the Sarafu credit. And when they receive it, they can go back to each other. Either they can exchange it for goods and services, they can take a boda ride to the market, or they can buy fish, or they can buy other nutritious vegetables using the Sarafu credit. And what's nice is that they're able to do that even when they don't have the Kenya shilling. So the community currency is connecting them to a sense of their own abundance. We want to be able to be a solution. We are telling the community they have the power to change what they feel are problems in the society, and they have all the resources they need, whether they have money or not. So that's how the Miyani Pesa is working for them. They call it Miyani Pesa because it's in Miyani, and especially for the women, it's been great because they're the ones who have the biggest sense of worry about what do I feed my child, how will my child go to school when they come back from school, will they be able to have lunch? I don't have money, I don't have enough savings. But now they're able to get these vouchers that circulate in the community. They're able to meet their basic needs. And the Kenyan shilling that they would maybe usually have spent on meeting those basic needs, they're able to do more savings. And they're able to go outside Miyani and get more stock and bring it back. So they're developing in a sense of community. They're coming together, they're making more savings, and they're meeting their basic needs. And they're able also to work on things collectively that touch on them, like the lack of water or how they can be able to dig more dams. And so I'm hoping that since it's a rural community, and some of you might be in rural areas of the world, that it's possible to also have a community currency in a rural community. All you have to find out is what do we have and how can we share it equally among each other. So how do you start a community currency in a rural area like Miyani? Every time you want to start something like that, you're always asking yourself about sustainability. And how do you make things sustainable in a community? You have to do a lot of community involvement. You have to make them own it and feel that it's going to meet their needs. So like for Miyani, what we did, we brought the community together. We met with some of the elders in the community, and we are able to do a survey and find out what do they spend their money on, how do they feel that they can meet some of those needs. So you start with a baseline survey, and of course you do a lot of meetings, talk to them, find out how they want to do it so that The beauty about community currency is that they're able to change and suit different needs. So you start with the meetings, talk to them, bring them together so that they can become a cooperative. They start their own small savings schemes, and then now you're able to bring in an organization, like in this case, GE was able to print for them vouchers. The survey helped us also decide how much each of the community members was going to get. In this case, they each got 200 cc's. And how do you decide on the 200 cc's? You do it based on how much they spend daily, and that is covered by the baseline survey. And then after that, now, for them, the community currency in the community has to be backed by a cooperative shop. In this case, it was the maize mill. So as GE, we were able to look for funding, and we were able to set for them a portion meal. The decision to make a portion meal is not based on us. You also get that from the survey. You ask them, what is it that most of the people need? So most of them are small-scale farmers. Most of them have a lot of maize, and most of them have to travel long distances to get their maize milled. So it has to be something that connects each of them. It has to be a service or a good that each of them will want. And so in this case, it was the maize mill. So they all go there once they mill their maize. And then apart from that, there were questions like, once you've milled their maize, do you all sell maize, or do you have other goods and services that you sell? No, they have other goods and services. Where do you go market these goods and services? Do you always have money to buy the things that you need? So most of the answers to that was no. So we're able to set for them up a community market whereby they can go mill the maize, but they can also all of them bring their goods and services, that they can trade these goods and services in Kenya shillings and in Sarafu credit. So that's how it worked. Apart from that, since they already had their own initiatives that they were doing, especially in terms of digging systems for water harvesting, also they are doing a lot of environmental projects, tree planting and all that. And most of the time they have to depend on donor support to be paid so that they can get their money, and in turn they can go buy food items for themselves or take their children to school. So they also saw a need there. So sometimes the donor funds don't come when they need to, or they are too little. So the Sarafu credit was also able to add to that. So once they dig the cisterns, maybe they are paid 10 shillings per hole when they want to do the community planting events. Now they're able to get 10 Kenya shillings and 10 cc's. So it's total 20. They're able to take the 10 cc's, either go to the portion mill to mill their maize, or go to the community market and buy food items. Or if it's not on a market day, they go to each other to buy goods and services from each other. So that's how you do it. You start with a survey, ask a lot of questions, involve them, ask them what they want to do, ask what's in the community and how they want to go about it. And once you get all the answers to the questions, you decide how much is the trade capacity for each day. You go there, and then you find out you do a needs assessment. What other things do they need? Because it can't be sustainable if it's not answering some of the questions that they have, if it's not meeting the needs that they have. And after that, once all that, I think the key is to making sure it's community owned. They have to feel like they're driving it on their own, because their goal is not to have grassroots economic or any other organization stay in the community. The goal is to connect the community to their own abundance, to give them the power to be able to manage these programs, and to give them the power to be able to manage the CC on their own. So all you do is go there once in a while, identify other needs that they might need, or other capacity building needs. Do they need maybe business training? You go in and teach on such trainings every once in a while. So that's how we did it. And so far, they've been happy. So it's been great.
Bangladesh is an informal settlement with a lot of businesses running around. We have a population of 15,000 people living in Bangladesh. And the people living there have a very low income. Some of them live with less than $1 a day. And most of the people who do the businesses in Bangladesh are women, because their husbands go outside the community to look for casual work and come back later at night. In Bangladesh, let me say on a weekly basis what I do. I make sure I visit members who registered in Bangladesh, because when you are registered in Sarafu Credit, because for you to use Sarafu Credit, you need to own a business and you need to register your business under Sarafu Credit. That's will make it easy for someone to know where to use Bangla Pesa or the Sarafu Credit too. So I do a lot of registrations during the week, identify new businesses, register them, and train them on how Bangla Pesa works, because the Sarafu Credit in Bangladesh, we call it Bangla Pesa because of the community there. And also ensure that circulation of the Bangla Pesa is going on well. So if a person has a lot of Bangla Pesa and doesn't know what to do with it, I come in and show them where to use it, and also give them a good information on how to accept, how much to accept, and what limit basically to have that Bangla Pesa. And I also do trainings, business trainings for the members there, because they run businesses and sometimes they don't know how to manage their own businesses. So I also come in and help them do bookkeeping, know when the business is running down and what causes the business to run down, and know when the business is also making good profit, and what to do when my business is making good profit. And I also call up for meetings from the Bangla Pesa members. We discuss the challenges that they face, because most of the times it's not easy to reach all those people. We have more than 200 registered members in Bangladesh, so it's not easy to reach them. So when we call for meetings and they come in, and then they say the challenges that they face, it's much easier to handle the challenges. And it also gives me who to visit the following week. Yep. The biggest challenge was when the Bangla Pesa started at first. Everybody was excited about it. So when they get their Bangla Pesa, all of them ran to each other to use that Bangla Pesa to other people's businesses. So you find that someone has a lot of Bangla Pesa, and it's difficult for them to go buy their stock, because most of them buy their stocks outside Bangladesh, and you can't use Bangla Pesa outside Bangladesh community. So it becomes difficult for them to go buy stock, and there's a lot of complaints that I can't buy my stock. What now do I use with this Bangla Pesa? It's not of help anymore. So those are the challenges that we help discuss, and we come up with ways of telling them again to know what limit to take. For example, it's much easier to know how much I use on a daily basis from breakfast maybe to dinner. Probably I use like 400 or 500 shillings from breakfast, lunch, and then supper, and then a little bit of a few things in between. Then it's much easier to accept the much that I use on a daily basis. Let's say if I'm using 400 on a daily basis on food and all the stuffs, then if I accept 400 Bangla Pesa, I know that by the time the day ends, I'll have used it back to the community, and I won't have the Bangla Pesa accumulating in my business. So I won't be running a loss, and I won't have any problem to go buy new stock, because I will already have used the Bangla Pesa in the community. Yes.
I think with any new technology, if we take the community currency as a new technology, I think usually the biggest challenges are the soft part of the technology. And when you talk about soft part, it's about perceptions. It's about how people take it and how they understand. And also sometimes when something is new, people have all sorts of ideas about it. So I think always initially, even at the beginning, it was about how people are perceiving it. So people had interesting ideas like it was maybe Illuminati money, how comes, and of course there's also the perception that we are creating money that's parallel to the national currency. So maybe in a way we are trying to overthrow the government. So the perception came from the government side and maybe the authorities, but it was also able to go down to the community level. And so we were able to, it was a huge challenge because it posed a lot of problems. But I think for that, we were able to counter it with a lot of information. We had to learn from it. And so, like, since most of the negative publicity was coming from the media themselves, we had to do a lot of talking with the media, explain to them what our community currency is, right to the central bank, give examples in other places in the world and how it's working. So that was, and then about the community was making sure they know it. And then there's also the problem of business people that are in the same area that are not using the community currency, and they perceive it as a threat. Because we have this group of people, for instance, in Bangladesh, in Ngomben, you have a network of over 200 businesses that are using the community currencies. It's encouraging them to trade with each other because you can only trade with somebody that already has the community currency. So what happens to the person that's not having the community currency, and maybe he's a wholesaler, he feels threatened by that. So instead of maybe trying to understand it or using it as an opportunity to also join the network, they try to find ways to bring it down. So for that, it was, I think, mostly about capacity building the members, making sure that they communicate more, understand it more, and talk to the other people. We also had issues with leadership because most of these communities, like I talked earlier, are community-led. For it to be sustainable, it has to be a community thing. They have to be able to talk about it, choose their own leaders, decide the rules. Like if somebody is not trading, what will you do to them? If somebody is hoarding, because community currency are anti-hoarding. Essentially, you're encouraging people to trade more, make it circulate. So what happens if one of the members is hoarding? So the communities are able to come together and say, if somebody is hoarding, we'll do this and this. If somebody is not trading, we'll do this and this. And that requires a lot of strong leadership. So like my colleague is good in life skills training. She can talk more about it. But like it required a lot of life skills training, especially in terms of leadership. How do you choose good leaders? What are the qualities of a good leader? And then also as GE, whom can we bring in to teach these people how to be good leaders? So it required a lot of that. So those are some of the challenges. And of course, when you're starting, when we're trying to do the cooperative businesses, deciding which businesses is good. So the community maybe decides this is good. And then if there isn't enough community involvement, sometimes we'd get really excited about this new business idea and we take it to the community, and maybe the community don't really own it, so it doesn't work. So we had to learn from that also. So like you start something and it doesn't work the way you want, so and then you have to trace back your steps and bring them in and ask them, and then they're like, no, we'd rather do this, and be okay with them doing it that way. So we learned a lot. The community has grown. There's been a lot of changes, but also as an organization, we had to grow along with them. We had to accept that sometimes we are wrong, and we had to let them teach us. And we got a lot of teaching, and we also taught them. So it's more of a give and take. And we also had to know what we could do and what we couldn't, and be able to do a lot of resource mobilization. Look for other partners, other people who can train things that we are not good at. Like Lydia had to go for other trainings to be able to add to her skills. I had to go for other trainings, and also each of us to bring their own individual strengths. I'm good in environmental work, maybe I'm good in teaching. How can we help the community with that? We're having people that are in slum areas but also have food needs. They also want to eat fresh organic produce. Can we bring in a partner who can help them grow their own food? But there's the challenge of they don't have enough space. Can we maybe do small kitchen gardens? Can we do sack gardens? And whom can we bring in? They're having a problem of water. We don't have the resources to get water. Can we get somebody to buy tanks and all that? So yeah, there's been a lot of things. And of course, I always say you are either changing, you're either learning or you are dying. So we keep learning, and yeah, I'm glad that we've been growing step by step. And I'm hoping that we'll be flexible and resilient enough to change with them when they want change, and we do it. So like we're hoping that in the next coming months, the world is going digital in a way. So maybe how to bring the community along with us to be able to also accept digital currencies, and how will that work? And ask ourselves questions like, can everyone use a smartphone? Can they understand there's a difference between spoken language and reading. And are most of our communities able to read? Like most of the rural community can't read, and maybe we want them to be able to trade digitally. How are we going to be able to do about it? So I think, but we just have to be innovative enough and to be okay to learn different things. So I think, yeah, that's been our biggest challenge, and also growing, bringing in different staff and being able to do different things, especially the business model. Having staff that are able to concentrate mostly on the business model, turn the businesses in the community into profit-making businesses. And also sometimes the biggest challenge comes from outside. Like last year, we had a very strange political climate. It affected a lot of things business-wise. And even the communities were a bit disoriented. Things didn't work so well. So it affected things. But also being able to make them resilient to be able to go on even after that goes wrong. Yeah. So
I work in the community on a daily basis. I meet them on a daily basis. So most of the times, it's not easy to handle the community, because most of them, I could say, most of them are older than me. They like my parents. So, and I have to work with them, and they have like the things that they want to happen, and sometimes whatever they want to happen, I feel won't work out, and I would want them to own what I think will be good to them. So sometimes it's always a struggle. It's always a struggle to like try and tell them that no, I don't think that will work, but this could work. So most of the times, yes, just like Dama said, we have to listen to them, learn from them, and come into an agreement. Okay, let's do this and this. It's a 50-50 and see what's work. Most of the times when they decide, they come up with a suggestion. They own it. And if it fails, they are responsible for that. So they can take the blame. Yes, we agreed this to happen and it's not working anymore. But when we force issues to them and it fails, they start throwing stones at you. Like, we said this won't work, and that's upon you. Do what you want to do, but we are not part of that. So it's always good to see what the community wants. And I'm always so, I've been working with them for so long, so I've learned how they are and what they think and how they work. So it's much easier for me to go with a project. Let's say we want to do something. There's a way I can put it to them, and they understand it better, and they own it and come up with ideas to build that project that I know will work. So yeah. And then another thing with the leadership thing, because they always come up with these stories. No, that we don't want that leader. I don't know what that leader does, or maybe probably that leader is being paid by GE. You see, such things. Yes. So most of the times it's them who select these leaders. Even if we hold an election again, they'll end up getting these leaders back to their positions. So sometimes it needs patience, a lot of patience, to understand them and just to accept that's how they are, because we are different. We come from different backgrounds, and the community also has different tribes within the same community. So we just have patience with them, understand how they work, and yes, sometimes we just need to be that patient to make things move. Because at the end of the day, we want to help these people. Because in the first place, when we got there, our main aim was to improve their living standards, of course, through trade, make them do that themselves. So we need that patience. And when we want to exit, we make sure that whatever our intention was, it's achieved. Yeah. I would say yes, because let me just give an example with Bangladesh. Earlier, I said some of them live with less than $1 a day. So, for example, Today I came back from work, or my husband came back from work without any money, and I didn't sell anything in my business, or maybe I sold a lot of things but on debt. And so that means that we are going to sleep hungry today. And maybe there's another businesswoman who is selling something, and is going to sleep with her food because there's no money to buy that food, and I'm going to sleep hungry because I don't have money to buy her food. So with Bangla Pesa, I can still buy that food and eat, and she won't go sleep with her food and it goes bad. So it's good. The Bangla Pesa helps us when we don't have, sometimes when the Kenyan money is very scarce. For example, Dama talked about the election instability that was in Kenya last year and early this year. We found that there was very scarce Kenyan money, but in Bangladesh and in Kwangombe, some of the businesses were going on as normal because of the community currency. I could pay tuition fee for my child. I could have something to eat. You see, I could have a service from someone because I have the Sarafu credit. So sometimes it helps a lot, even when there's no the Kenyan money. So yeah, it's something good.
I think to add what she said, I think the world is changing, and we are moving to a place where we want to be able to give people power to offer their own solutions. And I always think community currencies are one of ways of giving people power, because one, you can have self-taxation systems. Like you'll find, if I give the example of Miyani, these people saw a need, they saw that there was soil erosion and it was going to the dam. And yeah, they would have waited for that donor to come pay so that they can be able to dig those cisterns. But they were able to go to the community shop, get the community currency, dig those swells, prevent the soil erosion, get the community currency, and be able to meet most of their daily needs. In Bangladesh and Ngombeni, they're able to come together, they're able to do trash collection, they're able to come together and visit children's home, they're able to go and cook for the elderly. And all that came, you see, when somebody can't meet their basic need, there's no food at home, they don't have time to think of the other society at large. They don't have to think about, is my neighbor suffering? Is there somebody who is elderly who is suffering? Is there a child who is not going to school? But once you've given the community the power to meet their own needs, and as they are walking to each of those different businesses, they are talking to each other. They are hearing problems, and they are coming up with their own solutions. And by coming up with those solutions, that's powerful. So it's not about waiting for the government to come and do some things like collecting trash. Let's come together. Let's give 20 cc's each per business. Let's get some youth that are just sitting around. Let them collect the trash and let them come back to each of us. They can get either fish, they can buy water, they can get a ride to town on one of our borders, and we've been able to solve our problem. What other problem do we have? Like in Ngombeni, they have children that are small, they're about school-going age, but they can't go to school, maybe because they don't have the money. Can we be able to start our own small nursery school? And can the women come together and take care of these children? How are they able to come up with such ideas? Because they are talking. And how did we get them to start talking? Because they were trading more with each other. The more they trade, the more they talk. And the more they are taxing themselves in a way, they are coming up with solutions. And they are saying, yes, I can do that, I can do that. We don't have to go now. When they come together also, it's more powerful because they can do resource mobilization better. It's easier for 20 people to go knock down at a government office and go like, we need a tank for water, than one person. But I think the world of politics is about numbers. When a politician sees 50 people coming to his office, it's like, if I turn them away, that's 50 votes gone. So when they come, it's like, 50 people. Yeah, what do you want? Tanks, no problem. Next week, they are going to be there. So he sent a lorry with water to go fill the tank. How did that happen? Because they had come together as a community. They were in the business community, and they were able to say, we have this need. They shared the idea, and we know where to go get it. It gave women powerful posts. They're able to be decision makers. We have like one of the chair lady from Ngombeni Pesa. She's able to sit in the committee for planning in Mombasa County. That's good because it means that she can articulate some of those issues. And how was she able to get there? Because they saw that she's the chair lady of 200 business networks. This is somebody with a voice that's able to do it. So community currencies and the mere fact that they work counter-cyclical to the national currency. And I think most of the countries in the world are facing a lot of challenges. And if you look at the history of community currencies, they've worked really well in countries that are facing a lot of upheaval, especially during hard financial times. So yes, I think it's something beautiful. It's a beautiful solution. And what's good about it is that you can customize it to make sure it works to how it suits where you are. It's not like the traditional money that has to work in a certain way. And the traditional money is about Lydia going to lock maybe 50,000 of it and she'll be richer than I. The community currency is not about richness. It's about the wealth of a community. And when you put it together, it doesn't show how rich you are. It's not even good for you to have it. So it encourages us to share with each other. And I think that's where we should go as a world. Let's move away from the system where I'm rich because I have a lot. Let's move to a system where I am rich because I'm able to share with the other people. I'm able to sit and share ideas. I'm able to meet the other people's needs in an indirect way. Because like Lydia said it, she can go sit with all her fish and it will get rotten. And I'm sitting in my house, my child can't eat. But I have my CC, I go to Lydia, she gives me fish worth 50. I come sit, my children eat. And it gives me a sense of fulfillment, knowing that I've been able to make something small from my child. And Lydia knows, yes, I didn't get Kenyan money, but I met a need of somebody in the community. So I think, yeah, I think community currencies is the way to go. I'd say you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to learn, and every place is different.
I would just say, know the community that you want to start the community currency in. Learn them very well. Conduct a thorough baseline survey on them and know if they really want the community